All right, welcome back to the Amazing Conspiracy Realist channel. My name is Brian Cirillo, and this is Beneath the Surface, episode 3. And we have a very special guest, Sean McCann of Wake the Dead podcast. Great guy. Been looking over listening to a lot of the episodes that he's done so far. And I mean, he goes into so much material about trauma-based mind control, how Hollywood is involved in the whole mind control operation that the dark occult inflicts upon the populace, natural law, conspiracy, anything occult. This guy, he's been doing a lot of great work, so wanted to have a conversation with him. And so I first discovered Sean on the One Great Work Network back in early 2021, this year. He started his podcast around the same time as mine. And so we definitely appreciate having a fellow teacher of natural law on the show. Welcome, Sean. How's it going, man?
Thank you. Thank you. And I am honored to be on your show. Thank you for the gracious words you said about me. That's great. I'm honored. Thank you kindly. And I kind of talk about everything. It's tough to narrow down what my topic is. I'm pretty much trying to I'm an experiencer too, and I am aware and and I can communicate. So here I am. I'm doing it.
And, we were just talking about that. You're a Gemini, so you were talking about how that sign has to do with communication and
right. That. Yeah, man, it's natural to me. I mean, I love people, and when I see people in the world, I love them, and I want to know what they're about and what they're, I see if they're struggling, or I think about what they're thinking at the time, I mean, I think about in other people, they see someone and they look past them. They don't see a person or whatever. I mean, it takes a little bit of effort to actually, recognize that that's a soul in that flesh over there that's looking at you. It's not just somebody that's in your way. You know what I mean? So when you come to people with that, then it's just natural that you love them and you want to share with them whatever you're experiencing. And, you can give them the trust to allow them to speak, it's great. I mean, I've grown so much, and all the good things come from others, all the, if I didn't speak and communicate with people, then I would never learn anything and I would never grow. So it's a big part of being human,
Yeah.
The communication.
Which is tough for a guy like me to hear, because I can be pretty down on people. I'm Pisces, so I don't know if that always means that we're a little bit more antisocial, but I mean, I've definitely felt that way, but it's only because, I will do that exact thing that you said. Is I'll zero in on one aspect of someone's personality that I don't like. Usually these days it's figuring out what programmings they've taken on and taken into themselves that are negative. I usually focus on that, and then it's so hard to see beyond that.
Right. But then because you see that as something to battle, you're surmising the future battle that you have to. Is that what you're?
Yes, I mean that's a great way to describe it, honestly.
Right. So yeah. I mean, you've had so many battles that you see every time you meet someone, you're gonna have another battle. Is that how it is for you?
Almost. It does seem that way, but then it's just when I actually spend time with people, I realize that the most 75 to 80% of the person that I see isn't the person that's going to push my buttons or
right.
Their programming or whatever.
Because they're a person who cares, just like you. Yeah. They just don't know. Right. You gotta have compassion.
Right. And it's actually something that I struggle with it, because the more I learn about how the public are actually bringing about what we call the Dark New World Order through their own actions and through their own, I guess, ignorance.
Yeah.
It's harder and harder to sympathize with them. And I guess that's the real challenge that like
Yes.
our spirit is calling us to do. Is it's so hard to empathize with them, but
I give them so much, and then when they prove that they are unworthy, I take that back, and I don't give them that care anymore. And a lot of this world, I see a lot of this world needs to be churned under, go back under the till, because it is rotten, and it needs to be cut away. I mean, it's like some parts. I mean, I'm not a eugenicist. Like, obviously, like, I love people, but if people choose ignorance and they're working against freedom, then they need to be churned under. If the world is not going to stand for them, and the forces are going to put them under the ground again, and they're going to go under the wheel, and they're going to another chance, with another lifetime.
yeah,
Maybe they can fucking wake up that lifetime, but if we gave them a chance, like, if people aren't waking up by now, and if you are compassionate and you show them care, and they are persistent in their ignorance, take that and move on. Do not give them any more effort, and like you're saying, that we want to heal them and bring them, but what ultimately will heal their soul is for them to get churned under and learn the lessons of karma.
yeah, and that doesn't mean that we should go and, like, we're not advocating violence against people.
Obviously not. No.
I don't.
But natural law will take them under. Like, they will not survive the consequences of their immorality. And like, it won't be my actions doing it, but I'm not going to help save them. They're going to be ignorant and allow themselves to be taken by this machine of evil. If they choose willingly to go, then I can't save you.
Right.
That's what Crowley was saying. The slaves will serve. You can't fix them. Like, they choose their slavery. So we're going to offer the truth to everyone's ears. And if it's denied, like, by ignorance, like willfully ignoring it, the truth, then they will suffer. Natural law will have its way with them. We're offering them Isis, but Eris will churn them under. And I see a lot of people, and I think in my own mind, like, they deserve it. And I don't want to be. I'm not the judgment. Like, I just watch. I'm the observer. But a lot of this world, there, everybody has turned into Agent Smith. Like, the Matrix. Like, everybody has this programming in them. Like, they are the individual, but their mind is infected by this program that is Agent Smith. And all of them are the enemy at the drop of a hat. They could be your loving family member, sitting around the fire. All of a sudden, they want to call the cops on you because you said something, because they're mind control. Right. So if they choose to stay in that mind control, then we need to save ourselves and allow them to be churned under. Like, I think that there's forces that are in play that I think a lot of people, their souls are making this happen because they know they deserve it. It's weird to think. This is like a tripping perspective,
Right.
But like, we choose this experience as a soul. Like, we are creating this. And I believe that we are incarnated according to our karma and our dharma. And some people are incarnated to feel that pain and to be churned under. I think that's a function of the karma. And I think all we can do is watch and like teach our family, like, don't be like them. They're a different species. Like, their minds have been destroyed, and we can try, and that's the best we can do, is offer them the information. They have ears, and we're gonna do our best, but you can't save them all. So.
Yeah, well said, and that's so true. And it's great that you do have that a level of compassion, though. But it's also for yourself and for the people that are awake to the truth. It's like, like we said, this is ultimately a split personality type of situation that we're talking about, because once they turn on that programming, because they're reacting to, usually it's like you try to put the truth in front of them in this holistic way, and they'll try to sabotage it by saying, well, I mean, I guess there's the extremes, like they can sabotage it by calling the cops on you, or what you normally get is, oh, well, that's just not, you can't explain. Like, I always get people saying, well, you can't explain it to people that way, like you can't and it's not about, like, I'm not being angry when I explain it. It's just that when you are speaking about an occult topic passionately, and you're drawing things together and you're connecting dots, it's like too much for someone whose mind is fragmented to hear anything holistic or honest or sincere, or because they always tell them, right? I mean, they always tell them in school, you got to look at things dispassionately. Everything has to be dispassionate. Everything has to be reduced and watered down. Right. So they're so used to that, that they want to hear it, like, they want to hear it watered down. They want to hear something that's, and I don't really get
kid gloves. They want to be treated with kid gloves, like kid gloves, like you fucking treat them special. You won't get, but that's because they're stunted, mentally. And it does take some skill to relate these topics to a normie, and it takes years of understanding how they process the words you're saying. So, like, I've learned many years, like, I've been following this stuff, and, like, I don't know, since 2004 or 5, I've been hollering at people about, like, 9/11. I was like Alex Jones guy every day, like, and people were like, "Whoa, no," I was like, "Yeah, but look at this," and they can't. They're like, "No way." And so I was like, "Okay." So I took it and I fucking, okay, don't show people anymore. They don't want that. Okay, So I like had to learn, like, how can you fucking talk to people? Excuse my language.
No, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Did it shock you that they were so adverse to rebellion? Because for me, it did. I mean, because I grew up listening to, like, Rage Against the Machine, and all my friends liked it, and so there was a super rebellion happening. And so when you actually confronted them with something that really bad that the government did, they kind of ran away from it. I didn't really get that at all.
Yes, because they wanted to join a group. They wanted to be part of the crowd. Yay!
Yeah.
They didn't want to be part of the solution of, like, Zach De La Rocca is singing about, like, this is what's wrong with America, and everybody goes, yeah. It doesn't solve shit. And Zach De La Rocca fucking brings people to the Democratic fucking National Convention and whatever. Like, they're tools, and they're trying to make a buck, and whatever. They're doing their thing, and they want to be artists, and they, sometimes their ego runs away with them, and the idea that they started with, and that's great, but I believe that they were created like tool, I think. And the fact that Tom Morello and Adam Jones are like best friends, like, from teenagers hanging out, we're gonna be rock stars, like, they knew, like, they were appointed. So just like how Maynard went to high school with Tori Amos and like all these, like, what the fuck, not Tori Amos, the other chick there. Anyway, like they were all together, part of this, you know, elite that others aren't, and they all knew each other long before they ever got famous, and they would go up to Seattle and they would try to find real talent and like try to go out and find real talent and then like get them hooked on drugs and bring them into the fucking fold. I think that um, Melvins were like real talent, and Tool like rode in on their coattails, and then like now Melvins is like still making good music, but they wear a fucking mask. Oh my god!
Oh, I know,
like,
man. So many bands now are revealing their true colors when
it's gross.
It's weird because there's some bands I was listening to. Four of the guys weren't wearing it, and the drummer's wearing one. It's just like, okay, I guess three of them are cool. One of them's a loser.
It's so stupid, man.
Yeah,
it's like, I mean, but really look at their entire, like, coronavirus killed everything. Like, there is no more live music, and I guess they're trying to make festivals and shit, but they're goddamn Dave Grohl, that piece of shit, is doing a vaccine only concert.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of bands doing that.
Yeah, and he's doing songs with the Rolling Stones guy, making fun of fucking tinfoil hat conspiracy type shit. Talking Bill Gates is in my veins. Ooh, Bill Gates. Ooh, like, it's funny to be afraid that they're fucking infecting us with poison. Oh, that's funny. You idiots.
But you know what?
Give me the poison, guys.
Oh, they're so pathetic, man. The great thing about it though is they're old men, and like I'm a musician, I'm young, and so I could come up and have the energy that they don't have to make songs that are way better than any of their songs.
You understand the truth,
and I understand the truth. So
yeah, like you can, if you could encapsulate that into a song, like, that's great, because that is something that somebody can take with them, and that song encapsulates the idea. You can put an entire idea in a song that's only 2 minutes, and like people can trade it amongst each other, and it can become like a communicative archetype, which, like, this feeling relates to that song. So all I have to do is just mention the words of that song, or it's like sing a line of this, and like all these ideas come in, you know what I mean, with just a few words. It's a very powerful tool. I think that you should definitely like do your best with that.
Well, yeah, I got one song called China Shop Bulls. It's about the sacred gift of anger.
Right.
So it's about, like, it has to do with that. But enough about me. Let's get into so you do the podcast Wake the Dead.
Yes.
What inspired that name, and how long you've been doing it for?
Well, I guess I started the show in February. Well, January, I guess, right after Christmas, and then Mark invited me onto the network, in like he opened the network in February, and so I've been kind of focusing my energy, and this has like come to fruition now. Like, I've been on many shows of other podcasts, and I've been a guest on like Freeman's show and Mark Devlin's show, and Hans Utter, and like these other like researchers. Like, I'll talk to them online. Like, I'll have this idea of something, and then I'll like want to share with these other people that think, you know what I mean? And so I'll send these emails, and sometimes they want to talk, and I got to have a really good rapport with some people, and I was invited onto Mark Devlin's show. I knew Freeman because I met him face to face, but like I was a good friend, and I care, and so like and I've been in the circle for a long time. I don't even know how many years, but I've been like helping with the What on Earth is Happening. Like I helped Mark film a couple of his lectures, and I've been friends with Leah, and I don't even know how long. It seems like forever. you know, it's their family. It's really a beautiful thing. I guess because I've been in the group and they know me, and we've partied together and they know how I think and they understand. Then Mark tapped me because he knew that I understand like anarchy and natural law, and he says, I guess he saw that I have something to offer. I'm always talking about these theories I have and shit, and it's just I'm always like scattered and like just talking because I get amped and I want to have these conversations, and I have all of these thoughts, and now I'm organizing them and putting them into a comprehensible something that's comprehensive, that people can take in easily. Um, because talking to me sometimes you got to know me and how I talk. It's because I go, and uh, you got to know how I am and shit. So it's tough to for me to train myself to turn it into something. So like I was invited to this Seed conference by Brandon Martin, and
Yes.
and I had never done a presentation. I was like, okay, yes. Like he asked me, and I said yes. I know this thing, and I want to share it. So like I had the courage to say yes, and I agreed to do that. I put my will into it, and so then I had this year to take all these ideas and to formulate it, kind of crunch them down, and it took a long time. And the more I was doing that, the more I was learning, and it kept expanding out more. And I was like, fuck, I'm trying to crunch it down. And it's like, there's more time. Everything is involved with everything else, and it's awesome. And so like that's what my presentation was. Like it was supposed to be after 1 year, and then because it was postponed with coronavirus, I just kept looking and I kept digging, and I found all this more information.
Yep.
It's just
That
it
was
kept
the opportunity
flowering out. Yeah,
that was the
and
opportunity for the truth to really, like, it needed you to learn more before, I guess
yeah,
you never know.
yeah, and like I'm still learning more. And I'm making more connections now after, like I'm realizing, oh yeah, Clockwork Orange, the people were furniture, like the fucking in the milk bar, the women were furniture, like
Yeah.
oh yeah, I didn't mention that. And like when I was editing like the painting, there's a woman on a painting, and she was on a cat, like a cat carpet, like how they take a
Yeah.
tiger skin, tiger rug or whatever.
Yes.
And like the head was there just under the painting, and it like she was riding the beast. And like I didn't know that when I filmed it, but as I'm editing, I'm like, oh fuck, look
This is
right
Strange
there.
Card, Fighting the Beast.
Yeah, so like I had to type it in, like I typed it and I made like notes, like because I couldn't let it go. I couldn't like
Right.
say it's final. Like nope, there's more. So it's always growing, and that's what's great about Kubrick is he uses real elements. Other artists will use something that's like a, uh, Polanski uses devil's pepper or whatever was the stuff in the tannis root. That was imagination. They created that out of nothing. Tannis root was totally made up. If it
Oh
was
wow.
a if it was a Kubrick film, he would go dig into some books and he would find out what the real shit is, and he would use that name. So that when we go and think, what is that? We find that there's a real connection. Like every single shit, everything in his movies, if you follow the thread, it goes to something real, that it's like a treasure waiting for you to discover. It's amazing. And his genius, he sewed all this stuff in to this.
Yeah, I think that like Kubrick fans may have an advantage when it comes to being on the path to truth discovery. Like if you're a Kubrick fan and you take the path of truth discovery, you will have a leg up on it, because those movies just they do talk to your subconscious in a certain way that it gives you this like deep, I guess, anxiety. It's like it's really weird, because at first it manifests fear and anxiety, but then you realize you're learning about something that's actually a phenomenon that's happening just beneath the surface of society.
So the tools of the movie are creating an anxiety in you. Is that what you're saying? Like the effect of like the sound of the noise of the music, and like the effect of the image.
The way he shoots in those like wide angles, like where it's like it's very stark and there's not a lot of noise, and you know, it's just
the clean emptiness. Is that what you mean? The clean emptiness, uncluttered.
Yeah. It forces you to be alone with your own thoughts while still watching the movie.
Oh, imagine that, to be alone with your own thoughts. I mean,
I have no problem with.
Well, that's great. You don't have it, but I mean, the whole world, like, we have to trick you. Like, directors have to trick a person into being alone with their own thoughts sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And people get angry.
Action, you know, just
action movies. Like, yeah, right. Explosions and sex and boobies and explosions. Right. Well, yeah, Kubrick, he uses, like I was saying I was saying on my own show that Kubrick is a still photographer. He started as a photographer doing still photography, and he was accomplished photographer for Look magazine. He was hired as a teenager for this magazine. Was successful on his own merit with his own skill, and he was a better photographer than what they had on their payroll. So they went and hired him because he was so good with one frame. You know, you can put so much information in each frame, and then that's it. So you got to be able to know what you're doing if it's a one frame. With a movie, you got all these frames. They can keep throwing them at you. So it's just like the viewer is like stunned, because it's just like MTV, you know, like bit, 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 you know, shortcuts and just throwing at you. What am I looking at? You know, like like eyes, or the fucking Clockwork Orange, where he's like looking at the screen and they're dropping the eyedropper. You know, that's what MTV is doing to our brain. It's like it's harming you and kids, so that it's actually harming the attention span of the viewer by like breaking up the attention, cracking it in, you know, every couple seconds. Like you can't have a thought. Wham, like more. And Kubrick is allowing you to have thought. Exactly. Which is so opposite from every other movie and all the other shit out there. And like what he's saying, he's talking about the nature of humanity. He's not talking about like, look at this flashy car. You know, like 007 movies are like selling you a car. You know what I mean? Like Kubrick, he owns his movie. Like he owns all of it. No influencers come in. You know, he has structured it in such a way that he can make art where other people are, you know, other movies are getting the CIA and they're getting advertisements and all of that shit, and they're like, that's what a modern movie is. Kubrick had none of that. It was real art. There's a few directors are like that. Terry Gilliam is one. Hollywood hates Terry Gilliam.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they will not fund anything he does. There was a real mishap with the Baron Munchausen movie. Everything went wrong with that movie. It's like he's cursed, and like he tried to make the Man of La Mancha. He tried to do the Don Quixote, and that was destroyed. Like they made a documentary about him trying to make that movie and failing. You know, it's called The Man of La Mancha. And it's got like they started filming this movie. You know, Johnny Depp was there. They had the actor that was playing the character Don Quixote died. And then where are you going to find a 70-year-old actor that can ride a horse? I mean, what the fuck? Like they had to scrap it. It sucks. And what he was doing was real art. He was trying like Don Quixote is like the nature of insanity. I mean, nobody can tackle these topics like Terry Gilliam. Look at he's the one that did Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He's famous.
Really? One of my
Yes.
favorite movies, yeah.
Yes, he directed that movie.
Incredible.
He did Time Bandits. You heard of Time Bandits?
No, but I gotta check it out. I've heard of it.
Time Bandits is phenomenal. It's kids too. It's that one's for younger people also.
Okay.
Brazil. Brazil is like probably one of the best things he's ever made. And it's like 1984, if 1984 was a comedy. And it's like he talks about the hard mind control and like and makes jokes out of it. He talks about the terrorism and plastic surgery and the fucked up society, the way that people are wearing stupid clothes, like fancy people going to like restaurants are wearing a boot on their head. Like, you know, that's how he does it. Like he's making jokes with his movie, you know, like Zero Theorem is another one. It's his latest one, I think. It was a couple of years old.
Did he do Natural Born Killers, or was that someone else? Because it has
Natural. No, that one is that's the guy that did the JFK movie.
Oh, that's
Oliver
right.
Stone.
Right.
That's Oliver Stone. And that one,
the way the camera was in that and Fear and Loathing was kind of similar.
Yeah.
But I don't know that much about Fear.
Well, Fear and Loathing, you'll notice with Terry Gilliam, he uses wide angle and you can like everything is in focus and like you can see the textures of things. And like that's one of the things like with Fear and Loathing, you got you know, and Benicio del Toro is like on the phone and he's like talking and he's got his big belly and then there's like this big fish that's like also like a big belly, you know, and it's the way that it's all he's accentuating with he's a perfect artist. He's really I can't say enough good things about Terry Gilliam. So and Hollywood hates him because he's making real art. Also, Alejandro Jodorowsky, Hollywood hates him too. He was gonna make Dune. They took it away from him. They gave it to David Lynch. Like, it was gonna be the most amazing movie ever made. It was like Pink Floyd was gonna be the soundtrack. Salvador Dali was gonna be the emperor of the fucking, you know, who was it? The guy from the Rolling Stones was gonna be the anyway, there were all these characters. The most epic movie ever. He had it all storyboarded. He like hired all of the graphics people. He hired these teams and he had it all worked out. He had these huge books that producers of Hollywood people would have this book at a party and they'd be like, look at this. Wow. Wow. It's like the movie's already made and it was Jodorowsky who made it, and they're like, no, because he did Holy Mountain. And if you've ever tried to watch Holy Mountain, it's tough. It is like so esoteric and weird. I mean,
there's right up my alley, but I would love to. You're giving me so many great movies to watch right now.
Well, there's a guy who is Jesus, and he climbs into a tower where there's a magician who has these women with these occult symbols written all over them, and his alchemical lair is like all colors, and he like washes him, and they're like bathing, and they get like, I mean, they're like bathing. You know
Well,
what I
I'm
mean?
looking at this picture right now. It's of the cover of the Holy Mountain, I
Yeah.
guess, and it's got like they're being there's like a witch who's like bathing two people like
Okay.
in like a bath of fire, like they're not
Okay. So
they're,
that
they're like
witch
yeah
guy is the alchemist. It's like wearing a hat.
yeah.
It's like, okay, so that's the alchemist. And the Jesus guy like comes up, and within like the first 20 minutes, the Jesus dude like shits in a glass jar, and the alchemist turns it into gold. And this is put on film. You know what I mean? Like, this is what Jodorowsky was doing.
Yeah,
And Hollywood was like, no way. Never again. We're never giving that dude money. And he created Dune was such a fucking masterpiece that all the other producers were like, "Oh my god." And they like picked it clean. Like they gave it to David Lynch, and it's not even his movie. He just did it
I had no
because
idea. Actually, I
they
seen this version and
yeah,
I liked it, but I mean, it sounds like this was supposed to be something way
it
more
was the planet was the planet was going to become conscious.
unbelievable.
Yeah. It was beyond the book Dune. It was a new thing, and it was beautiful. He had his own kid, was going to be the kid, Paul Atreides, and the kid in the movie was like, the kid in the book starts at 15, and then he grows up to be a man, and he was like training his son as a child to play the role of this dude.
And Paul
and
Atreides.
and the kid is like learning kung fu and shit just to play Paul Atreides, and then the movie never happens. This is like a huge part of like his fatherhood. Like he's, you know, and they fucking steal it from him. And
Right.
it's such a
Well, it's a
masterful work.
satanic ritual in and of itself. I mean, they probably knew whoever was involved that was a dark occultist probably had some awareness of how important. I mean, obviously they knew how important it was to the guy, and that's
Yes.
what they do. It's like
Yeah.
whatever your dream is, they want to crush it. They want to
Yeah.
just take it
Yeah.
away from you.
Because
But
he can't be controlled.
yeah,
He's a true artist, and he would like, he like, you'd hear stories about uh the guy from the Rolling Stones there, the lead singer guy. We're
Mick
talking about
Jagger.
Mick Jagger. First time Mick Jagger met him,
Yeah,
they like met at a party, and they like saw each other from across the party, and like the dude smoked this weed with him that made him hallucinate, and like started talking about all these occult shit, and like he has like the people that that are manipulators of our society with those symbols, they see him with awe and reverence
yeah,
because he has those symbols. He knows the occult. It is him. And what the Holy Mountain is, it's an alchemical device. It's fucking crazy, and it's almost disturbing to watch. It's like, there's like frogs in costumes, and like they're exploded, and it's very, this guy has his art is goes beyond some people, what they can handle, what they
right.
can.
It sounds very almost dreamlike, not
Yes.
nightmarish, but when you see a very weird dream.
Yes.
And he
Like
knows
David
nothing of the
Lynch.
occult,
And
so it's like going to be something very different for people to take in.
yes. And David Lynch is very good with dream, and making dream type reality, having the veil be thin, and like, David Lynch is very good, and Jodorowsky, like, they made a movie about this movie not being made. Also, there's a documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune, and they've got in an interview, Jodorowsky is talking about going to see his movie. You know, he's like, they put his movie out and it's got David Lynch's name, and he's like, he and his son go to see this movie, and he's so scared because he knows that David Lynch could do a great job, because he knows that Lynch is such a good artist, and he's afraid that Lynch is going to make an awesome piece of work with his work, and he's like, oh no. And then as he's leaving, he's got a big smile. He's like, "Ah, oh, you fucked it up, yay!" Because really, and even Lynch wanted to take his name off of it. He didn't like it. Like,
well, the thing to audiences, they may have, they had no idea. So it looked like, to me, it was a great movie. But
sure,
I mean, it's good that, like,
visually it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But what it was like, they had Sting instead of Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
They had like somebody else. It was a replacement for what was already created out of this fucking storyboard book that they fucking just took. He brought them this book. He's like, look, I can make this movie. Just give me money, please. Here's the movie. It's done. No, ours now. Fuck you. And that's what, so if you understand like what the dark occult is, Hollywood and shit, and the movies that they want you to see, like Pearl Harbor and whatever else that shit is mind control.
And Act of Valor.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, all of it is shit, and it's mind control. But real artists like Jim Jarmusch, or like, he's making movies. He did a movie last year, The Dead Don't Die. That movie was a fucking masterpiece, man. Everything was perfect. That movie was so great to watch. Iggy Pop is in that. Everybody, like, it's a like, and but he was able to get Hollywood on board with him. He made a comedy that can make money at the box office. Like, that's what Kubrick was doing with AI. He was like trying to make a blockbuster movie. He was telling, he's friends with what's his name there, fucking Back to the Future guy, the director there.
Robert Zemeckis.
No shit. Is that the director of that one? The one, the guy.
I have a poster in my room of Back to the Future. It says a Robert Zemeckis film.
Spielberg, though. Spielberg produced that?
Spielberg, you're right. It is Spielberg who did it.
Okay. Was I wrong? Zemeckis, did he write it? Because I think you're right.
Yeah, it was written by Robert Zemeckis, but then Spielberg is the executive producer and
producer.
Yeah.
Right. They put his name on there, right? So that's why I was related. So anyway, so Kubrick is friends with Spielberg, and Spielberg is a voracious evil pedophile.
Oh yeah.
And Kubrick knows this, I think. And Kubrick created, so hearing from Spielberg talk from Spielberg's perspective, Spielberg is having these conversations with Stanley, and Stanley wants to make a movie like his. He wants that blockbuster type movie. He's like, I'm trying to make a movie like yours. I want to see if I can do it. Right? And he's got this Eyes Wide Shut also happening at the same time. And Eyes Wide Shut is like the longest filming of like all movies. It took like 2 years to film it. And yeah. And so there was problems, like Tom Cruise's managers are all pissed that he's like tied up with this Eyes Wide Shut movie, and he could be making more Mission Impossibles and shit. Like, Hollywood is getting more pissed as it goes on. And
yeah.
And so he's got this other project, AI. I believe that Kubrick was such a friend to Spielberg that he created that movie to give Spielberg's consciousness the chance to be aware of the evil that it is and is doing. I think that the underlying message of AI is pedophilia. That's what that movie is about. It was, I mean, the child, who wants a child that never grows up, that is a slave?
Right.
And if you look at all the other robots in that movie, they're all either maids or sex slaves. He's
Sounds
best
like, yeah.
he's best friends with a sex slave, gigolo guy. So like that's what the mechanical people are to do. They're created for sex.
Right. So they were
So
talking about trauma-based mind control within that whole context. Every single aspect of it was kind of covered.
it's Kubrick created the movie and had it all storyboarded and then gave it to Spielberg and was
Oh,
like, this is for you. And I think that he gave it to Spielberg so that Spielberg would look at himself. I
okay.
think it's a project to allow Spielberg to recognize that his own pedophilia is evil and
Yeah,
it's harming the world. And,
absolutely.
I don't think that Spielberg understood. And I don't know if I'm even correct, but uh, that is what I have inferred from the
Oh, yeah.
information I have gathered. And because that movie is pedophilia and there's nothing else, there is no other reason for that movie. Pinocchio is like a loose veil of somewhat of a story, but they needed some kind of vehicle to show the pedophilia. And so like that's what it is. That's what the the child was created for that. And then this family took it and tried to love it like a child, like a real child, instead of having it as a sex slave. And
Right.
then but then it ends up being a useless nothing. It's a useless thing that they have to bring it and throw it away because nobody wants love. They want a robot, a slave.
An efficient worker, something that's very just
Exactly.
pragmatic and, yeah,
Yeah,
utilitarian.
follows orders.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I was going to ask you too, like, I mean, how do you think Kubrick actually found out about the occult? Do you know the backstory behind how he even
I
got
don't.
into that?
Well, I know that he's autodidactic and um, he learned everything on his own. Basically, he uh, didn't go to college, and he learned photography in his own house. His father had a darkroom and got him a camera and showed him how to do it, and just kind of like gave him the tools and was like, "There you go, have fun with it." When he was really young, and then he just learned on his own. And he used to play chess in the park for money, actually,
Wow.
to pay his rent and shit. And he would, I'm sure, would have conversations with these people. I'm sure that that's where he learned. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because when you're playing chess, you have to understand strategy, and
Right,
eventually he probably was able. He was a smart guy. He was able to put the pieces together at some
right.
point. And
And
it's almost
it's
like
the
these movies were
board.
made for people like Jordan Maxwell to watch, because Jordan Maxwell was one of the few guys like us who was around back then.
Right.
And it was just like, it's like, that's why growing up watching Kubrick and stuff like that, it's just like part of me was so surprised when I saw how few people are actually awake, because look at all these not just Kubrick, but there's so many films and music and art that kind of gives people a leg up on getting closer to what's really going on,
Yes.
but they have the blinders on, or they're just over analyzing it or
Right.
something. Like there's probably somebody who's a huge Kubrick fan who has no idea about any of the things that he was trying to convey
Yes.
the occult.
I actually talk with a lot of them on the groups and shit. Like on Facebook, I'm in the Kubrick groups. I want to see what they're talking about, and kind of just have it like remind myself every now and again not to forget about it. And so I join these groups, and these people don't want to hear about conspiracy, man. Like
Mm.
even the people like um Like I spoke at length in emails with Julie Kearns, who was in room 237.
Right.
She was very smart. Her theory is on point, and
That was a great documentary. I did see that, and
yeah.
I think people make fun of it. I mean, I've had people
Some of the
horror
things are
movie
kind of
buffs and stuff.
wacky. Some of them are kind of like Jay Widener saying that he can see Kubrick in the clouds. That shit's crazy.
Well, I didn't even. I must
Yeah,
have
yeah.
blocked that
Go
part out.
ahead. No, no, not everybody, but still, there are lots of little ones where you're like, nah, but it's fine. Being allowing yourself to hear them is an exercise,
Yeah.
to hear someone's theory of like, this is why I think it's about the Indian genocide. And that makes total sense. The dude with the Calumet jars, I
Yeah.
forget his name. Fuck, I forget his name. And the other guy, John Fell Ryan, he's the one that says um, that Helena gets kidnapped at the toy store. And like,
Okay.
holy shit, that's what cracked my brain to understanding what they kidnap her, why, what, and then like then you tumble down into like elite kidnapping children. What are they doing with her? Why are they doing that? What is this all about? And that's where I started going. And
Mhm.
and like having read all of the uh Fritz Springmeier, everybody should read that dude.
Absolutely. We've talked
Uh
about that before,
good, good.
and he's a great, tool for understanding trauma-based mind control and, satanic ritual abuse.
Yeah, he writes down the nuts and bolts of how to decode it, and
Yeah.
he's a wealth of information. And God bless him for being here with you. Like I'm thankful he's here,
Yeah.
and he's a blessing of this earth. So everybody should read Fritz Springmeier and Kathy O'Brien and Jay Parker also if they want to know about the real mind control. Um, I think that once they get that understanding, if they watch Eyes Wide Shut with that knowledge, it will all click. You don't need me to tell you, you know.
Right.
And with my movie, I was just showing it like, here, look, and it it's all there for your subconscious, you know. And I was just bringing it to our conscious awareness.
Right. So, who were you saying from that documentary? You were talking about her theory and how it was on point. If you could go back to that.
Julie Kearns.
Okay.
Her theory was that in the poster of the game room of the in The Shining, when Danny is throwing darts
Yeah.
and um, behind them is a skier, but they told us that there's no skiing up there, and so then why is there a skier up there?
Yeah.
And he's got little legs and he's got a big upper body and he looks like the Minotaur. And then
Uh-huh.
and then that clicks for her. Oh, the Minotaur. Oh, the labyrinth. Oh, and then like the story of the Minotaur was trapped in the labyrinth, and that's the story of it's a Greek myth. And if you look into that Greek myth, holy shit, that's The Shining, right? Like that's
Oh my God! Right? Yeah.
yeah,
Because it's labyrinth of the hotel, and right is that
right.
the
Like the
big convention?
labyrinth was added in. Like that was. Wait, let me think. It might have been in the book. It might have been in the book. But Kubrick might have recognized that and he put those elements in for our subconscious to pick up on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like archetypal tools, and our conscious mind doesn't have to recognize it. He's talking to our subconscious to create the anxiety that you spoke about earlier, to create these feelings in us. And the way that, on one poster was the Minotaur skier guy, and the other poster was a cowboy. And she's like, there's the bull man and there's the cowboy. And I was like, yes, totally. And this is how Kubrick does it. Like he reinforces the thing that he wants you to think about with another element, you know, like with Eyes Wide Shut, the guy with the tricorn hat up on the balcony. his wife woman there that also looks down with the black tear on her mask. She also has 3 points on her hat with little bells, you know.
Yeah.
And so that burns in your memory to remember later. Oh, 3 point hat, yeah. And so then, if you happen to look in the painting in the billiard room later on in the movie, then you'll see that the guy in the painting is holding the same hat that the guy is wearing in the mask, you know. And then, oh,
Right.
the guy in the painting must be Ziegler's ancestor. Oh, Ziegler's ancestor was probably doing that for generations, and that mask is probably the same mask that the ancestor was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
It's
all this
multi-generational abuse.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and
And
that's what
Kubrick understood that. That is so crazy, man.
yes, and he was able to illustrate it. I mean, he's able to use elements to actually make it apparent for us, and he gave it to our subconscious. Like even our conscious mind isn't like picking up on this shit, and smart people like Julie Kearns, it can find it and pick it out and be like, hey, look at this, see how that is doing that, and how this is. And then she also explained about how the way that the room, the way that the layout of the hotel is false. Like there's light that comes in through a window that's on the interior of the hotel. There shouldn't be light there, and so it creates a tension within the viewer. And so she brings that to our attention. She's like, hey, look at what's happening. And she's very astute, and I highly recommend looking at her work. She has a website, Idolipus Press.
Yeah, we'll put a link below.
Okay. Yeah, I'll dig it up and I'll put a link. But she has like reams of work on Kubrick. She talks about other films. She loves films, and she talks about how this film relates to this other film, which had a soundtrack related to this thing that enforces this idea that Kubrick is telling you, you know, and like she takes it all apart, and she's fucking great. Like,
well, yeah, it sounds like she has holistic thinking. I mean, she can add
yes,
art in an allegorical
right,
way, you know, and a
yes,
lot of
and
people
I
can't
was
do that. I mean, I know people that say that they have no allegorical thinking. That when
they
they've
admit
had a
that.
hard time in English class and stuff, because it's just like, oh, they're trying to find stuff that's not even there. It's just like, but you can't see it. You don't have you know, it's
Right,
like
it is
your
there.
third eye is too calcified to see it. You know.
They're choosing not to. Ignorance.
Definitely
Okay.
appreciate your analysis of Kubrick's work, and it's something that I wanted to delve more into.
Right.
You know, in terms of the messages that he inlaid within his movies. And so you definitely given us a great start here. And
Thanks,
a lot
man.
of your work is centered around art and cinema. And,
Yeah.
and so you could, I mean, don't you have a little bit of a background in photography and stuff like that as
Yes,
well?
I'm a trained fine art photographer.
Awesome. Awesome.
So like I can make like museum quality pieces, but I don't. I grind metal pieces all day for 10
Yeah.
hours a day. But I mean, like I can't do it um, because I wanted to know and I went and learned. But I'm not really applying myself in that way because then it requires me to sell myself, and I
Right.
hate doing it and the denial. And it's like you go to everybody and like hang my work in your gallery, look at my work, and they're all like, meh, no, nah. I hate that shit.
Yeah, because
It's
they're
like,
not really appreciating for
yeah,
what they'll just like,
right.
yeah.
I want the viewers to see it. And so like I'm always having another job. And so I am a photographer, and I can do like and I'm good at I'm a good teacher too. Like so I'm just I'm looking for a way to apply it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah. And I'm doing graphic design. I'm starting to make I'm putting photographs on t-shirts now. So I'm taking black and white, and I'm using a black shirt, and I'm having the black knockout, so it's just white on black, and I'm seeing what I can do with it. And so I'm trying to make some art prints. I'm actually right now. I was I don't know if you're still recording. I hope you are.
Yeah, I am.
This is great. Um, my favorite photographer, like she is. amazing to me. And like her work, it it's like moving, like it has motion and it has emotion. Like she's a master, and she's also, I think she's a Thelemite. I think she
Oh, we're
understands.
not.
I think she understands the love is the law, and this is. I think that she's on so many levels. Like I'm just awed by her work, and I've over the years, like I talked to, like I send emails to people, researchers. I also sent an email to her saying how much I love her work, and we've become friends. She likes my work. I'm like, yeah. And
That's a
she had
beautiful man.
she'd sent me a couple prints because I tell her how much I love them, and she sent them for free. She's like gave me prints to hang on the wall, and I'm like, oh my god, thank you. And she like I asked her for the digital information of one of those prints so that I could print it myself, and she was like, she trusted me. She's like, okay, here. And like I I asked her, just I just got a reply back, if I asked her if I could use one of her images for my show, to promote the show on a t-shirt, because it's probably my favorite photograph ever made. Like it's there's a woman, and she's got her finger up, and it's like many women, there's shadows of many of her.
Right.
It's like moving, and on her finger is balanced a heart, and next to her is an empty space, and it's just like it's she's balancing care. It's the key, true care and love, and she's like got it on her little finger. She's mastered it, you know. And it's like I've I've been in awe of that photo forever. And I asked her, I was like, this wake the dead, that waking our care. What we need is the care, and that photograph is awesome, and I want to let people see that and promote it and push it out there. And she replied to me, yes. I showed her my shirts and my podcast and I showed it everything. I bared it all. Look at what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Because you could trust her. You could sense that it was going to be,
Yes.
like, it was going to be non. He's going to
Yes.
be cool about it, you know.
And and I'm showing her that she can trust me, like, and this is my mission, and like, look at what I've done so far. And so, like, when she says yes, it's like she agrees with my mission, you know, and it's like, yes, you can, like it, and she said, as long as you credit me, and if you make a bunch of money, then send me some money. And it's like, yes, my pleasure. Like, if I make any money from the shirt, I'll send it all. Like, from that
Right.
design, I don't care. I'm just like
Well, now she's a
so
part of
happy.
what you're doing too, so it's a
Yeah.
promotion
And
for
oh
her
my
too.
god. And like I'm gonna send her like as many shirts as she can handle. Like I'm just so thankful. And so that's what I'm working on today. Like I'm like creating that right now. And like so I'm trying to get into art more. I'm trying to get my brain into it again.
Right
And
brain modality, yeah.
yeah,
It's a
because
beautiful thing, and I think a lot of people. It's like I noticed a couple of years ago, 2017, 2018, 2019. I know that I wasn't really. I was talking to people here and there that were awake and talking natural teacher, not teaching natural law, but there was a lot
yeah,
less. And I feel like now it's like people are kind of broken out of their shell a little bit, and like I'm connecting with a lot more people, and you're having similar experiences. So
good.
there's something
I
good
think
about this decade. That's
yeah,
for the people that are doing the doing the great work. It's like
I
we're starting
agree.
to connect, so it's a good
Like
thing.
we care, and I think the universe is having its way with humanity right now, and we're playing a role that's necessary. Like the universe needs us to do this, to be the last call to those people before they run into the slaughterhouse, to give them a chance to wake the fuck up before they get churned under. And it's our
Right.
job, it's our duty. to care and to act. It's the best we can do. Like, I guess really, and making art is good for everybody, including the viewer and the artist. And I think everybody that's a human is an artist. They just need to start doing it because
Absolutely.
it's a communication. And sometimes words don't work so well. Sometimes a sculpture or a painting or a poem or whatever, something else new that no one's ever heard of, will communicate an emotion or an idea that better than words. That's what art is communication. So more of that.
Good, man. Absolutely. And that's why I play music, and that's why I think it's, even this is an art form, just podcast,
Yes,
relatively new art form. So,
yes.
But gonna have to wrap it up for tonight.
Okay.
I definitely appreciate what you're saying. And before you go, where can people find Wake the Dead?
Wake the Dead is a podcast, just that title, Wake the Dead. It's on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. There's an RSS link. You can go to the anchor.fm/Sean.McCann. I think that's where to find my Wake the Dead podcast online.
Okay.
And there will be,
we're gonna link
links. Yeah, I'll have links. But I mean,
yeah, I'm gonna link it too. I'm gonna make sure I get all your links below on my page, and we'll make sure that people can easily access the show, and start supporting. If you're just a fan of my show or Mario West show or Dom Tremblay, just the people that I've had on, expand. There's people like Sean out there doing their own thing, have their spin on it, and they have their own area of interest too, and which is unique.
That's right.
Everyone has their unique area of interest, and I'm trying to just encapsulate it all because I'm Pisces. That's what I do. For all the signs come to come together. I don't want to say come to die, but
right. Before the new cycle, right?
Yes. Yeah. So
and there's everybody's perspective of the truth is a valid point. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Maria's great. Like, I saw her for Your Mind. I spoke to her. She's phenomenal. I love her.
Absolutely.
Dom is also great. He's an upstanding man. I'm glad to have met him, and he's also doing the work. Like, it's great to have all of us doing it from our own perspective, to bring elements that, because everybody's different, and like, I like this one thing and I talk about this one thing, and Maria talks about that other thing, and Dom talks about this other, and like, to be well-rounded and have a good idea of what the fuck the whole thing, you want to hear from everybody.
Absolutely.
And it's good to, and I focus on the mind control. I focus on the layers of programming. I focus on the I did a 3-hour documentary, I guess, on Eyes Wide Shut, and you can find that on Odyssey. It's called Occult Kubrick and the Butterfly Net 2.0. That one's quality. I spent, like I said, it's like 2 years of research boiled into like 3 hours. I was able to cram what I could into 3 hours, man. It was tough, but like,
I can't wait to watch that right now. I mean, I'm going to have you on for part 2. We can just discuss that, and we could also have a whole show about eugenics, the dysgenics agenda, satanic eugenics agenda. That's an important part of what I wanted to do with my work, although it's a very difficult subject to deal with as a man and everything.
Yeah.
But it's
and
tough.
Like, they're attacking men and they're attacking our sperm. They're killing it. And this vaccine, I'm sure, is not good to harming us.
Oh, absolutely.
In order to save humanity, we need to keep ourselves clean and pure, and maintain to have children. So don't be polluted by the poison.
Yeah, not death cult poison. I call it death cult pharmaceutical.
Yeah. Death cult indeed.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Sean. And, everyone, check out the links below and check out Wake the Dead.
Yes, Wake the Dead. Also, onegreatworknetwork.com. You can find, I'm in the creators section, and there's many creators on the Great Network. Like, explore. Go see who else is on there. James Corbett's on there. Larkin Rose is on there. Derek Rose is on there. These heavyweights.
Richard Grove.
Richard Grove. Holy shit! Talk about heavyweights. Like, these guys are forging a new path to bring the truth to us, despite all this fucking satanic agenda. They're giving us the real thing, and you can find all of them there at the onegreatworknetwork.com. So if you want to expand on what you're looking at, take a look at that network and see what's up. So just want to say that.
Absolutely. And I promote the network a lot here too. And, I haven't tried to get on myself. I mean, I've definitely had episodes of mine featured on there, but I'll just, it's like when the time is right, sure it'll come together.
Yeah, they tap you. It's like the secret society. You don't apply. You get tapped. You know what I mean? It's like, so just keep doing the work, man. Because like, whether you're connected to the network or not, like, we're all singing the same song. Right?
Yeah.
And your work will be on the network because I'll share it on my page.
Well, thank you for
this show here, for sure.
Appreciate that.
And I'll promote your work. So, and I'm just glad that you're doing it, because everybody needs to come along with the truth, even though it's a battle fighting people. Like, if people are willing to listen, then come on, let's get some fucking truth in our ears.
Well, yeah, if you keep it all bottled up and you just fight people about it, then you lose. But if you actually create something, that knowledge, then you won.
God bless you for saying that. Yes. And we can have conversations about that too in the future, talking to people. I've got a lot of experience, and like, I've dealt with a lot of that, and I've learned how to talk to people in a way that, also, but my wife could probably hear me and she'd be like, "You fucking idiot, you don't know how to talk to anybody." But really, like, strangers and stuff, like, I love strangers, and I can talk about anything with anybody because I love them. And I've learned to get, like, I learned, like, what is their programming, and whether, besides seeing it as like, that is my enemy that I have to fight, I see as like, well, they see this, so how can we agree, and how can I use that to my advantage?
Yeah, you got to be strategic about it. You can't be emotionally reactive. And, as I get into this bully mode where I just want to be like, point the finger, but I don't actually do it. But
And I'm bad too. I fucking yell, and like, my own mother can't hear it, and it's like, it's tough. It takes a lot of years to temper yourself to become, like, controlled.
The old wise man. Yeah.
Yes. It takes a lot, and you're on the path. You're getting there, man. It takes a lot of. There's a lot of knocking heads, and a lot of people won't stick around, and just let them go. Don't try to chase after them with information, because it's their ignorance. They're ignoring it. Just be there. Like, when this stuff started to come around, the coronavirus, people that I haven't talked to since high school, they started coming around and asking, like, "Hey, what's really happening? What is going on?" Because they know that I pay attention to that shit, and they knew that they could trust me to tell them the real shit. So just be that beacon of truth, and then people that don't pay attention to you, when it really matters, they know that you got it. So just keep doing that, and have integrity, and just keep being the light, be that beacon, and they can rely on you. Be a reliant figure, somebody that they can rely on for truth and understanding, not someone that they can rely on for a fight, someone that they can look at and know it's always going to fight with that guy. Be the beacon. And I can help with that. Like, I need help with that. Talking about it would help me.
Right.
So that might be good, maybe, for the future in our podcast. Maybe we could talk about that.
Yeah, we will, man. We'll have you back on for sure. But like I said, I gotta babysit right now.
Yes, yeah.
So,
God bless you. That's God's
responsibilities,
work right there. That's important.
Come up, but
That's important. God bless you.
yeah,
And thank you very much.
appreciate you coming on again, and you guys have a great night, everybody. Thanks for watching ACRC Amazing Conspiracy Realist channel. Sean McCann, everyone.